What is immune health and what does this mean for babies and children? This is a really hot topic and it's become such a sexy word in the media, gut health, microbiome. But what does it actually mean, I guess, is what I want to talk about today, because immune health is so pivotal to systemic health. Like, what goes on in our immune system influences everything to do with our body. Take COVID, for example, the coronavirus, how the virus affects our immune system then influences how the virus affects us systemically in all parts of our body. Not specifically the coronavirus, but definitely how our gut and our immune health reacts to pathogens and baddies will then influence how much of it gets into our system and then how much the rest of our body gets affected. So our immune health, we say about three quarters of it is in our intestine. And that's true. That's true because one of our first defenses from germs is our skin. But a lot of germs go into our system through the food we eat, and also just touching things and sucking our fingers. And that's why we always say to kids, wash your hands, right? So we get a lot of exposure to pathogens and baddies through our gastrointestinal tract. So it starts in our mouth, it goes down our food pipe, our esophagus, into our stomach. Our stomach is naturally acidic because it's designed to help kill off the pathogens, kill off the bacteria. So an acidic stomach is also designed to digest food as well. But we want an acidic stomach to kill off some of the baddies, the bacteria. But we still get a number of those pathogens making their way into the gastrointestinal tract, the small bowel and then the large bowel. Now, in the small bowel is where you really need that protection. And with the cells lining our gastrointestinal tract, our small intestine, we want the cells to be tightly joined together. We want the cell junctions to be tight, because if the cell junctions are not tight and they're sort of loosely joined, then that does allow baddies and bacteria pathogens to get in, or viruses to get in to then the circulation of the system of our body. So we want our cells to be tightly packed, and we also want a thick mucus layer, because tight cell junctions and a thick mucus layer actually help protect our body from these pathogens. It helps keep them out. It helps keep them in the bowel, and then they go into the large bowel, and then we poo them out. We don't want those baddies to get in through our gut cells into our circulation, because that's when it gets in our blood, and that's when we get sick. So we need those tight cell junctions and that thick mucus layer to provide immune defense, basically, to provide a defense to these pathogens. And certain bacteria like probiotics and whatnot can help, because they can actually help stop these pathogens, these viruses, actually getting through the cells as well. So there's plenty of ways in which our immune system in our small intestine works so hard all the time to keep these pathogens and these baddies out. And that's really our immune system. And that's why it's so important that we have these tight cell junctions and that thick mucus layer in the gut. And food plays a pivotal role in what our small intestine and how tightly our cells are joined in our gut. Because what happens is, if we have foods that irritate the gut, so for example, babies with allergies or adults with food intolerances, sometimes the cell junctions are a bit looser and you can get a bit of a leaky gut. And the other thing is, if we're not feeding our small intestinal cells, these gut cells, and the mucus layer, more importantly, fiber-rich foods, then that mucus layer actually starts to get a bit patchy. So the mucus layer has has good bugs in it, and those bugs need to munch on dietary fiber. And if we're not feeding those good bugs dietary fiber, those good bugs of food, what we call actually prebiotics, if we're not feeding it prebiotics, then those bugs need to get food from somewhere. So they actually start to eat the carbohydrate in the mucus of our bowel, which we don't want, because then it makes it more leaky and I guess patchy, and then we don't have that nice, strong, thick mucus defense layer in our gut. And so that's why we really need to feed all of us, babies, children, and adults, a good dietary fiber intake, so that we're feeding those good bugs and we keep that mucus layer nice and thick and strong. That's our first defense, and then through to the cells, we keep our cell junctions nice and tight. So that's really the inside look at our immune system, and that's why it's so important that we feed our bodies well, so that we support that healthy gut cell environment, and also a healthy balance of microbes, because microbes do wonders for us as well. It's really interesting how different individuals with different microbes will metabolize food differently. I mean, I could go on and on about this, but it's really important that we're feeding our gut good, what we call fiber or prebiotics, so that we're keeping those bugs healthy. Now, the other thing that we need to factor in is how the gut has formed over the first 1,000 days, because that also influences the gut, the cell junctions and the mucus layer, and I guess how the immune system develops. So certainly there's many factors that influence a baby's immune development over the first few years. And certainly there's things that we can do to improve the robustness of the immune system. And this can be to do with balancing the good bugs and the bad bugs. It could be to do with fiber-rich foods. There's plenty of things that we can do to support a baby's immune and a child's immune system. Then there's other factors that support immune health as well, such as all of the other beautiful nutrients in plant foods, such as phytochemicals and antioxidants that contribute to a healthy immune system. So that's a little one-on-one on what immune health is. I hope that's been helpful for you. Please let me know if you've got any questions. Thanks. See ya.